All right, guys, and welcome back to the Evolution Podcast. And he told me he didn't want to, bother me. And I was like, no, man, no, not at all. Like, you were not bothering me. Like,
that's what we're here for.
And, I think people, are hesitant. And it's like, man, like, the more that I can do for you, the better.
Well, the more you can communicate, the more that we can help you.
And also, and I didn't know that was a variable, but on his check-in form, he put that his training was maintaining. And I reached out and I'm like, hey, why do you think that training is maintaining? Like, what do you think's going on there? Like, do you think we're having enough food? Do you think we're hydrated enough? Yeah. How's your sleep? Because, your sleep looks pretty good here.
Variables, yeah.
And I know he has a CPAP machine, so I started diving into that. And then whenever he told me that, I'm like, well, that would be why. Like, some days we're good, some days we're not. Because, say we're training after 2 meals, you're going to have much more food in you. And then you're fasted. It's like, yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a difference there, So... I think communication's key there, and and I just told him, I'm like, you're not bothering me, man. Like, I love whenever clients let me know stuff like that, because that's whenever I can pivot, and that that's what they pay me for. Like, I'm supposed to be setting it up for you, and you just follow what I give you. So, I think it's one of those things, like you said, you just got to be able to bob and weave with each client.
You do, and on that subject of eating before you train, because this is something that I've unfortunately kind of commonly dealt with, is I will have ladies come in to train and they haven't eaten, and it
happens all the time,
5:00 in the afternoon, and I'm like, okay, no wonder you're getting sick. So and it's not even that I'm off the rep putting these clients through these grueling workouts. It's you start lifting a little bit of weights, doing something to kind of get the heart rate up a little bit, and all of a sudden you're gonna start feeling kind of shitty, kind of not great. And it's people they don't always think about it. So definitely something that you want to do is make sure that you eat and drink water before you train. I know there's a lot of fads out there about fasting and intermittent fasting, and there's a time and a place for everything, but that's something that is needed to be discussed with your coach. Don't just show up to your session, haven't eaten all day, haven't drank any water, especially that first session, because you never know. That's not something that you want to deal with, not something I want to deal with. I don't like to see my people get sick, and it doesn't start things off on the right foot if that's your first experience at the gym. So
it only happens once, because it feels
will
terrible,
only happen once.
You'll never do it again. So
Okay, well, what else do you have?
Next question.
Next question. I did have some questions, so bear with me. Let me pull this one up here, because I got a couple fun ones for Cody.
Okay.
All right, first question, which will lead us into our next question. How many shows have you done?
This one coming up will be my 6th one.
And you're, state for the record, how many weeks out?
This will be 4 weeks on Saturday. Nice. So if my energy levels are a little low, I apologize. I'll be back to normal in 4 weeks. So
okay,
I'm still here for you guys, though.
Yeah, oh my God. what is this?
I don't know. You
can't all right, John Cena, settle down. So, all right, you said 7 shows?
This will be 6.
Okay. Yeah. And then what's been your favorite show or favorite memory from a show?
Oh, man, you going to make me tell a story?
Yeah, let's hear it. What you got? I don't know what it's going to be either.
Probably after our first show together.
Okay, I do know what story this is going to be.
And so this is when I was a young competitor. I don't recommend doing this. And I
didn't either.
So I had placed very well in my class. And I was just super thrilled. It's my first show back. And at the time, I was starved through my whole prep. And I was just so excited to eat, and I still had to wait for her.
Because bikini goes on dead last.
And I'm already snacking. I got all these snacks and treats that my family brought, and they had snacks at the show, and it was cool. I had a lot of food, and then we went out to eat, and we smashed some food. We went out to Nashville.
It was crazy.
We ate a bunch of food.
But we also drank a lot of water, because I remember telling the waitress, she kept refilling our glasses.
We were really dehydrated.
I'm go ahead and bring us the pitcher,
please. It was middle of summer, and we were also eating outside, too, right?
We were outside. But
we were on the little deck or whatever. Yeah. But it was, we ate a lot. And it was so good. Yeah, it was awesome. And we stayed up pretty late.
Hell yeah. We were on that winter's high.
Yeah, we got back pretty late. It was 1, 2 o'clock or something.
Like that, yeah.
And we had ate a bunch of food, and I started feeling sick. Like all my competitors out there probably know, like you eat too much, especially whenever you're not used to eating that much, and then all the processed foods and shit that doesn't digest very quickly, and you're used to eating such a clean diet.
Okay, wait. So
Make you a little sick.
let's give an aside to
Yeah.
our viewers that are not bodybuilders. So in the bodybuilding world, it's
Yeah.
very common right
Yeah.
after a show.
We celebrate.
You do. You
Yeah.
celebrate all your
Yeah.
hard work.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
shows will have like treats and different things there, but it's
Yeah.
like a time of celebration.
Yeah,
All your hard work.
and that's why I said
eat
we don't
stuff you haven't
condone
had.
this. You know,
It's it can get carried away if you're not.
as
careful.
I've gotten older as a competitor too, I don't do that nearly as bad
Yeah.
anymore. I feel like like I'll have some treats and this, that, and the other, but I
But you
don't,
pace yourself. You don't just
Yeah,
like
you hit your
like,
reverse good,
yeah.
you know. Like,
well, and you kind of know.
You come back Monday,
Yeah.
and you're like, all right, cool, like back to
Yeah.
the plan, you know. And but anyways, that night I'd ate way too much, and I wake up in the middle of the night, and I'm like, oh god. And I was like, hey babe, give me some water, because I was really thirsty too from all the food, and like we were so dehydrated. And the next thing I know, I'm like, I'm gonna throw up. I run to the bathroom, man. I'm sitting there like throwing up, and everybody knows, like, you're like, whenever you're throwing up,
Oh,
you're
it's
like,
bad.
don't fucking look at me.
Yeah,
like,
don't
look at me. Like,
I
don't
am
touch me.
shame.
Like, yeah, like I don't want to be like, I don't want people to know I'm throwing up.
No, I don't let you see me throw up.
She comes in there and she starts like rubbing my back. I'm like, oh, get back. And then I'm like throwing up, and she's rubbing my back. I'm like, all right, that's kind of nice. Keep doing it. But I was like sitting here like just throwing all this food up because I just ate way too much, and my stomach was just like, nah, fam, like, we got to get this out.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here like, I told
Yeah.
you this would happen.
Yeah, I was
a
young, but yeah, I ate way too much, man. I definitely made myself sick. So.
Oh, yeah.
But after I threw up, I felt great. And I was like, all right, let's go back to bed. I'm so tired. Like, I chugged like 3 or 4 bottles of water though, because we were still just like so dehydrated.
It's no joke.
Yeah, it was
It's
so
no joke.
hot
No,
that
I
day
mean,
too.
there's
Like, my
different.
tan was just like melting off.
Well, it
of
was
me,
in the
dude.
summer.
It
The
was
show
so
was in
fucking hot.
July, so it was pretty brutal. All right, so with the food thing, then, what is your favorite post-show treat?
Yeah.
And then, are there any weird food combinations in prep that you like? And not treat, like prep food,
Yeah.
and then not prep food.
Like my actual prep food, like what I do. Well, actually earlier.
All right, start with your favorite
Yeah.
post-show treat.
Yeah.
What is that?
Honestly, I really like donuts because I always
Donuts?
crave donuts.
Like a regular glazed donut, or
Yeah, honestly, I just get a box of assorted ones. Remember Sheridan brought me that box? I love you, Sheridan. You're amazing. He brought me like a box of random assorted donuts to my 2020 show, and I ate like I don't know, 7 or 8 of them.
lot of
It was
them,
awesome.
yeah.
But I spread them out. I learned my lesson the year prior. But I'd say probably that, or just like anything, because I love banana flavored stuff.
you do like banana
And
stuff,
Chris
so
said he's
banana
gonna make
bread.
me some banana bread this
Yeah.
year. Yeah, your granny's chocolate chip banana bread last year was bomb.
Banana bread is bomb.
So, and I was going to order some Alpha cookies. Shout out to them. They always have some awesome cookies.
The best.
So, I think something like that too, because it's not like loaded with sugar. So, like, having an Alpha cookie is, it's a little bit like,
Sure, yeah.
you like eat it, but you're not like, like sick.
Dead,
and whatnot.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's,
Way better than that crumble shit.
yeah, it like satisfies the
Yeah.
sweet tooth without like, like putting you on the verge of
Yeah.
diabetes,
Okay, so
Yeah.
then what's your favorite, or not necessarily favorite, but what's something that you eat in prep? Like people all the time
Yeah.
have weird food combinations. People do eggs and ketchup, different things like that. So what's your
Yeah.
favorite prep combo?
Honestly, since I'm working with my new coach, he has me eat a lot of fruit, so I'll mix my fruit in with my meals, and I think it's good.
So like,
And I think it actually helps too, is you don't use as much like sauce or anything, so
Yeah.
you're not getting like the artificial sweeteners or nothing.
So you like
Like
that
earlier,
sweet
like on the
salty?
way to go get my hair cut, I threw my blueberries in with my ground beef and rice and just smashed it, and it was good.
blueberries,
it's like,
ground
yeah.
beef, and rice. All right, that's a weird combo.
It's actually good. They're frozen, so they kind of melt a little bit, and then they get in there, but they're still kind of, you know what I mean, cold. I mean, I don't. I
the
thought they were
chicken and
good,
rice
man.
with blueberries, I could get
Yeah.
it, but the ground
Well,
beef,
I do that too. I
would
just mix
throw
my
me.
fruit in with it, especially if because I'm always eating and working. You guys see me at the gym. I'm eating. I'm on my phone. I'm eating. I'm on my laptop. I'm eating. I'm with a client.
You eating like
all the
that?
time. So
You mean
and
you
earlier
did this
I was
big
eating
by
and
hanging out?
driving. Yeah, right. So I was eating and driving. So I just put it in one bowl and I just shovel it down. So I think it makes it easier. And honestly, I think it tastes good that way. So. I guess that'd be considered weird, but I feel like
That
a
is
lot
a
of
weird-
bodybuilders
a
do that
weird
because I mean it's all
combo.
going to the same
I mean,
place.
it is. Well, that's why I asked.
Yeah,
that.
it's
It's
like whatever.
very
you know.
common. You just at some points of prep, like you're just throwing it all together and
Yeah.
eating it. 'cause
Yeah, I was about to say you're not
it's
really
like
eating
clockwork.
for taste anyways. You're just
No.
eating for fuel at that point. Like I look at food totally different.
That's always been something I've had to laugh at too, because like I've had doctors or just different people in the past that have been like going off of the BMI chart, and they're
I'm morbidly obese.
Well, and I'm anorexic undoubtedly. I've had them tell me, you know, like, this is severely underweight, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, look, I'm here to tell you, starving myself would be so much easier than having to eat 6 times a day. Like, it is a non-stop thing. So, all right, I got you for weird prep food, your favorite post-show treats. Do you have any prep brain stories? We're talking all prep here.
Prep brain.
Yeah, something that may have happened that you're like, I have no other explanation other than applesauce brain, as you've been calling it lately.
Yeah, oh man, yeah, it's crazy. By the end of the day,
your brain is just mush.
I really don't know. I know I've driven to the gym before and just like forgotten stuff. Like I'm like, how did I leave my headphones? I got all things in my headphones. Like you're just like you get really forgetful. I can't really like think of a story right off the top of my head.
Because you're in prep and you can't.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I'm sure that I have a million of them. You know, and it's just one of those things. And I think you just kind of get used to it, especially the more shows that you do. And I feel like I'm able to focus a little bit more because I'm aware of it. But I do take my time more. You know, I'm slower.
Yeah, you got to slow it down a little bit.
For sure, like working through client check-ins. Working on really anything, like I'm a lot slower because I take my time and I'm making sure.
Well, yeah, but that's different. It's mostly like you experience a prep brain. Really, there's no like set time, but excuse me. Mostly it's when you're doing those monotonous everyday tasks that you'll notice that kind of show up, and you're just like.
Actually, I got one for you. Actually, now it popped in my head. So my coach has me doing for my first meal oatmeal. And a little bit of whey protein and bananas, and I think that's it right now on my baseline plan. And then on my refeed day, it's obviously it's a lot more food. Well, I had popcorn seasoning, and I ordered the sugar cookie one on Amazon, and I also have the salt and vinegar one because I like to throw that on my rice.
And they look damn near identical.
I grabbed the salt and vinegar one. Started dumping it all on there, and then I'm just like, "Damn!" And I had
to. Did you eat it?
No, I had to dump the whole thing out and start all over. And I was so pissed because I was running behind because the dogs and this and that. So I'm literally like throwing all this together and trying to make sure I was on time.
That shit is the worst.
Man, it was terrible.
The second worst to that, arguably the first worst, is because this happens a lot more commonly. Yeah. Blowing your oatmeal or cream of rice or whatever up in the microwave. Yeah. That shit will send me over the edge so fast. And I'm starting my day off like that.
Yeah, it's always there. Especially that meal once you're ready to eat. Yes. Like you get done with cardio.
Yes.
I can't wait to eat. I'm so tired.
And then, bam, you done blew it up. Now you have a mess to clean up. Now you got to redo it. It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a bad start to the day, man. You know, my days, you know how they snowball. And then by the end of the day, I'm blowing up. I'm yelling about something stupid. Like, so that's how it goes, man. That's how it goes. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Let me think. I think I've got one other question for you. Ooh, okay. What is an exercise that is severely underrated in your opinion?
So I'll throw out there the one that I feel like gets a lot of hate on is the single arm kneeling lat pull down.
Oh my god, yeah. Freaking. I don't understand the hate on that one either, because it's very effective.
I don't really understand either, other than you know, I feel like people don't do it right, so they don't like.
They don't understand it, so they.
I think it's more like they aren't setting up properly and actually, you know, doing the exercise right. Mm-hmm. Because, like, you know, with any exercise, like, you know, if I'm doing it incorrectly, it's like, yeah, all right, this is bullshit, you know. But it's like, then you actually do it and perform it correctly, and then you're like, oh my gosh, like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know, the first time I did it, when I started working with my new coach, I was just kind of like, I don't really know about this. But like I said, you know, I kept an open mind to it.
Sure. And, well, and mind you, too, like, you have a specific coach for training, and then you have a specific coach that does, like, your meal plan and all of that stuff.
Yeah. And then, so, you know, I started working with him, and, you know, he has me send videos, and he was like, oh, yeah, you're not doing this, and this right, like, fix this. He's very, like, descriptive and on top of it. Also, if you guys didn't know, we are affiliates for him, Nick Loff. So we are actually affiliates on his exercise library. Yes. So if you guys are interested in that, you can sign up through our link and get 10% off. That's for clients or anybody who's interested. So I think it's an awesome learning tool, especially if you're trying to like just shift towards more new school style training and getting the most out of your lifts. I think it's awesome because it just like walks you through like the actual setup of each movement, which is one of the things like I'm talking about. Like the first several times I did the movement, I didn't really feel much, like I did, but it wasn't like, oh my God, this is game changer, but now every time I do them, I'm like, oh my God. And we only do 2 working sets. We do 2 warm-ups and 2 working sets. And
so what was that like for you adjusting then from like how you're training before to how you're training now?
Honestly, it was a big adjustment because, I consider myself, I try to be a jack of all trades, so I'll kind of dabble in a little bit of everything, and I have since I started.
You're always learning, you're always growing.
Yeah. And, and I trained very just, basic for a long time, compound movements and just progressive overload with intensifiers here and there, but, I feel like this year just kind of setting my pride and my ego off to the side and kind of reducing some of the weight and trying to learn how to do things a different way. Definitely, I think it shows tremendously in my physique this year.
For sure. And you wanted something different, so you did something different.
Yeah, and I think just learning something different, especially with like just the way the world is evolving, it's good to stay on top of things. So that's why I'm always like, reading, like researching, listening to some of the top guys and what they're doing, and I think a lot of this new school style training, like there's a reason that you see a lot of these pros like kind of shifting towards that. And it's not that I think, compound movements are bad. Like I think I built a great physique with just that, and I think it's really good for your basics. I think it's really good for like your meat and potatoes, right?
Sure,
whenever you're first starting out, and I still have clients do this, man. I consider myself in the middle, like I'm not just one way or the other, especially with my younger clients. I start them off with like, they're barbell squatting, they're deadlifting.
Well, and again too, I mean, you guys are at different chapters. It's not just, take what you do and dish it out. Like, you still have your own stuff that you've learned and style that you perfected.
I think it's very beneficial, but I think, I've seen other benefits with doing things that you're actually targeting a specific part of the muscle and you're able to push it to its breaking point, and you're not necessarily just going for weight. Because like, for example, if we're talking back, because we're talking about the single arm kneeling pull down. So, I've gotten to the point where I've barbell rowed 405 for 15 reps. I've T-bar rowed, I don't even know how many, like 6 plates. I've deadlifted 600 pounds for 7-8 reps. I've, X, Y, and Z, apply whatever.
Sure.
I've rowed the 200 pound dumbbell for sets of 15.
Sure.
And it's like, I got really strong, but like I didn't see very much lat development.
Well, in
like,
terms of
a whole lot of like specific
and the sport
area
that we participate in is an aesthetic based sport. There's not like when we get on stage, it's not about how much weight you can lift. It's not about not about anything other than how you look at a specific day at a specific time, standing next to other people. That it matters how they look on that day at that time, standing next to you.
And I think that's just kind of why you've seen the shift.
Sure, And
I still think that, again, I think the basics are really good to start off and build your strength.
Yeah, get your foundation, like you said.
So, like a lot of these lat movements that I'm doing this year, like, like some of the unilateral hammer strength rows, I think I've built myself to the point where I can do a lot of weight on those machines because I can barbell row so much, because I can T-bar row so much. Like, I've built that good foundation of strength. And not to say I didn't put on any muscle doing that. I just feel like, some of the more isolated movements that we've been doing this year has been able to kind of build more like shape, shape and actual density, just in specific areas. So I think it's just one of those things that's, it's underrated because people don't invest in learning how to do it. They just kind of like, and my coach said it best, he said that, it hasn't proven its validity yet because it hasn't been around for that long. But like in comparison to like the old school style training, it's been around for a long time. So people are like, oh yeah, it works. It's like, okay, well, like this does too. It just hasn't really shown yet.
Well, and the thing is,
And I think
you
it's a
have
matter
to
of
be able
time
to
before
grow
people-
and evolve with this stuff.
Mhm.
And I mean, that's,
Yeah.
again, kind of going back to our video that we made prior of where you explain, like, how you even came to name the
Yeah.
business Endless Evolution. Like, we're not just stuck doing
Yeah.
the same shit we were doing back in 2019. Like, we're working differently. We're doing things
Yep.
differently. We're living differently. And, like,
Yep.
if you just stay in the same stuff all the time,
Yeah.
you're stuck. You're not going to progress. Like,
But I think it's been awesome, so not only have
Yeah.
I have, obviously my experience doing my past training, but now my new training, and, I think Nick has done a great job at like setting me up for success there, just making sure everything's good. So, I think that, and just being willing to learn something new, I think it's definitely, just elevated my game in general, not only my, bodybuilding game, but also my coaching, abilities. Cause I feel like, especially with a lot of the younger guys I get now, they're interested in that kind of training.
Sure.
Because it's popular. Like
Yeah.
everyone's kind of like, and granted, again, like I said, I'll shift them back towards a little bit of the basic stuff first, and then we'll kind of shift into more of that as we need it. But like, if we don't need it right off the rip, then, I don't do that. For example, I just signed a client the other day, that doesn't do barbell squats, and I forgot why, but I can relate to that because I've had 2 quad tears from it. I got really, really strong at barbell squats, but then I got to a point where risk outweighed the reward, and I just kept hurting myself.
Yeah.
And similar with him, I think it was something with his knee, but we're doing Smith machine squats instead. He said he can do those, and like with his feet a little out and up, and he doesn't have any pain. So I'm like, okay, well, instead of using barbell squats here, man, let's use Smith machine squats. It's just like little things like that. I feel like, and that's not even like a new school thing, but it's just one of those things where,
it's
again,
just an
like,
example.
he's young, and I feel like he could get a lot out of barbell squats, but like if he can't do them, I don't think it's like, oh man, you're just never going to be good at this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was like, nah, man, we have plenty of other tools in
There's
the
different
tool
ways to do
bag.
things.
Yeah, like this year I've only done hack squats and pendulum squats. The only squatting movements I've done.
Yeah. Wish I could say the same.
So we've done hack squats and pendulum squats with bands. And I think that's made a huge improvement in my quads, just actually like focus on sitting in the movement and firing out of the hole and making sure you're getting that quad activation rather than just like repping out rep after rep. You know what I mean? So, again, I think it's good to get strong, and I think it does add size, but I think you just hit a point where if you're really trying to target a specific muscle and push it, to the point of hypertrophy, it's better to do things like that because you're focused on that muscle. I also think it just lowers the risk, I mean, obviously there's always gonna be risk with heavy loads.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you have anything else that you want to talk about?
No, I think that's pretty much it. But I would like to ask you what your favorite prep story is.
My
Prep story,
favorite
prep food.
story? Oh, man.
Yeah.
Favorite prep story? That's a tough one. Ooh. I guess we'll call this one my favorite, not necessarily because it was the funnest thing ever in the moment, but it made for an interesting story. So I did a show in Alabama. Unfortunately, you weren't there with me for this one. You were in prep. You were what? Yeah. But I was there with my Eye Candy team. Shout out Eye Candy Competition Bikinis. So if you need suits, competition suits, posing suits, men's trunks, all the things, get at them on Instagram. But anyway, so I was down at the show in Alabama with them, and I don't know, I go out on stage. At that point, I had won my class. I was the only person in it, so that kind of automatically put me in the running for the overall. And there were multiple people in the overall, at least. So I think it was either 5 or 6 of us. But we're in the middle of going through the overall judging. They're, running us through our poses. And I mean, they were making us work. That was one of the longest times that I've been on stage in one setting. And I don't know, I just start feeling myself getting kind of like nauseous, kind of like clammy and stuff. But in my head, I'm like, all right, well, we got a show to win. So like, there's no getting sick on stage in front of all these people in a bikini. Circling back to the part of not wanting people to see you throw up, I damn sure wasn't looking to have it happen right under the stage lights. Yeah. So I don't know, in the middle of them judging us, I got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm actually going to get sick in this moment. There's no way that I can hold it back. So I just exit stage left. Like, gotta go. Nobody knew what was happening in the moment. I knew I was about to get sick, but I didn't know anything beyond that. So I run off stage. I got sick. They stopped the show for a minute. The head judge comes back there and is basically telling me, like, you can't just walk off stage. We're going to have to disqualify you. And I'm like, shit. Like, I just did all this. Like, what? Make a long story short, one of the expediters backstage was like, no, she got sick. Like, she let us know she needed a moment, whatever. So they brought me back out. I ended up winning the overall, which that's the part of the story that makes it really cool, makes it really fun. It was just like, no freaking way. That was my very first one. So getting off stage and being congratulated by my iCandy team and stuff. And of course, like, I'm calling Cody and I'm telling him about it. And it was just... all in all, it was a really cool time. That was one of the funner experiences I've had at a show. We kind of partied it up afterwards in the hotel room. We had some good food, hung out, and it was just, all in all, it was a good time. So that was one of my favorites.
That's awesome. I hate that for you. You threw up, though.
It could have been worse. I mean, it won't happen again. because
I'll
never
cry
again.
when
But
my first
yeah,
so
we both can be crying.
Like a little baby.
Yeah, we'll cry. We'll just cry together, baby. Okay, then you said what? Prep food?
Yeah.
Weird combos?
Weird prep food and what you crave after a show. I already know you crave something chocolate after a show, for sure.
Okay,
S'mores.
Post-show, I am s'mores obsessed, but post-show, I always have what's called a slutty brownie. If you don't know what that is, look it up, but I'll tell you, if I must. A slutty brownie, because she is just so dirty. It's cookie dough Oreo brownie, and then you bake that, and
her granny makes them.
They're rich, but it's, quite the tasty treat after months of not having that kind of stuff. And then you said favorite prep food?
Yeah, what you eat during prep that's weird.
God, I'm drawing a blank. I mean, it's been a minute, so, because I've taken this year off. God, I really don't know. Do you have anything that you can think of that you've seen me eat?
No, not really. I know you do your egg whites and you put sugar-free chocolate.
Ooh, okay, that is a good one. All right, this one stumps a lot of people. So, I hate eating egg whites. Like, I love whole eggs. I just hate eating just straight egg whites. I don't know. I think I just got burnt out on it in my first few years of competing. And so... when I got with Cody, he showed me you can just drink them. They're pasteurized. It's not like we're cracking an egg and drinking it. It's the pasteurized ones out of the carton, like the Bob Evans ones or whatever. So I would just drink those instead of eating them. And then, I don't know, I wanted something sweet. So I'll do sugar-free chocolate syrup, measure out my egg whites, mix it up, and then drink them. And if you can get past the thought of like, oh, this is egg whites, I'm telling you, it tastes like chocolate milk. They don't have that like slimy consistency that a normal egg, if you cracked it open, would.
They're real smooth,
and they're thin. Like it's very watery. Again, it's one of those that you just got to give it a go. They're pretty much flavorless, so the chocolate syrup being added in there, like it tastes just like chocolate milk. But
I've drank them since I've started bodybuilding, pretty much.
I mean, I could never go back.
People that don't, but I drink them. It don't really bother me. So
I mean, I don't have any qualms about it. So some people hate on it, and some people will do it. Whatever you choose, that's up to you.
Well, all right, guys, we're going to be putting up a story for questions. If you guys want to ask us any questions for our next podcast, just kind of help us out. We need ideas. So we can kind of give you guys what you want to see. So thanks for tuning in. Evolution Podcast, baby.